Welcome, everybody, to the R&R-Cat Cast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&R-Cat Cast. I'm your host, Ryan Foley. He's Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the R&R, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network. And we have a sweet sponsor in Gear Up Sports. Gear Up Sports is taking care of your sporting needs. If you're a high school or middle school coach and you need uniforms or player packs, get a hold of them at www.gearupsports.com and mention the R&R Cat Cast. Also visit our merch store.
Yeah.
That's linked in our socials if you want some R&R gear.
Yeah, you rocked some of that gear in Moscow on Saturday.
Moscow, not Moscow.
Moscow,
That's
Russia.
in Russia.
Whatever. I've only been there one time. Well, good to be on the podcast, man. It's Wednesday night. We're recording a little bit later than we normally do, but Mr. Foley here's been sick the last couple of days. We're not trying to avoid podcasting about the loss, okay? That's, in fact, quite the opposite. We've been wanting to talk about it. But you've been sick on Monday, and then last night you sounded kind of like a horse that somebody punched his throat or something. It was not a great sound.
You probably can tell I still have a little bit left. But yeah, last night was rough.
Yeah.
And the night before that, I couldn't stop sneezing, and my nose was running. It was bad. It's
kind of hard when your entire business model is based on your voice to have your voice sound bad. So it's a little tricky. But here we are. We're here to talk about it. Some therapy, some venting, some coping, whatever we want to do. We'll see where the night takes us.
Yeah, I have to remember. So this is Wednesday night. So Monday night is typically when this comes out, and we talk about the FCS stats poll, which we will get into. We'll talk about Coach Vegan's presser. We'll get into the fashion watch. We're going to break down my trip to Moscow and the loss, the 24-21 loss. The loss. We'll just call it as that. And then we will preview Northern Arizona and take some Golden Coolie questions.
Sounds good.
All right. But before we do anything, we have to talk about what's in our Golden Coolies.
What's in your Golden Coolie?
What's in your Golden Coolie is brought to you by Wilbur Ellis. Go see Shea Richter and Company. Fort Benton, Wilbur Ellis. That's where I got the Ellis from. Fort Benton, Golden Triangle. They will hook you up for your fertilizer and farming needs. I have an Oktoberfest lager from Silver City Brewery, which is in Seattle? ? Believes no, it's in Bremerton. I have their stuff sometimes because it's on the shelves quite a bit where I am. It's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. I was trying to save it for Monday night, last night of October, but now it's November. Now it's not Oktoberfest anymore, but it's good, man. It's a good beer. Never had it.
Nice, man. I do have a little glass right here, Perry Street Amber. Look how nice that looks, Thorny. Look.
Oh.
There it is.
Actually, on your blurry webcam, when I first saw you log in, I thought that was like wine. That's how like red it looks on my screen.
It's a good amber. They just brought it back. It's one of my favorites. Got a growler full. It's good stuff.
There you go. Amber's always a solid choice.
All right. Hey, I got to mention a little bit of business before we get into anything else. So, a little story, a little background. I've been, I have coffee in the morning with this group of guys that I teach with. And it just came out just recently. And I've been having coffee with these guys for a couple of years, but I don't talk about the podcast a lot. But they figured it out. They figured out that I was doing a Montana State podcast. And this guy, Mr. Hintz, he goes, Montana State? I go, yeah. He's like, my daughter plays for Carroll College. And his daughter, Elliot Hintz, she's a freshman, I think a redshirt freshman. She's listed as 5'11", but she's only 5'6". Go figure. Just a little fun fact there for you.
You tell me all the rosters on women's basketball, men's basketball, football are exaggerated a little bit. Is that what I'm hearing here?
Yeah.
I'm very
and
shocked.
I got that from Mr. Hint, so I was like, give me a little bit of like player bio so I can mention her name at least.
There you go. That's cool.
And he was like, goes, the Lady Cats are coming to Helena to play. And I'm like, no, they don't go to Helena to play. I was like, I didn't believe this. So I had to look it up. They're going this Saturday for an exhibition game right before the season starts.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I actually like that.
And so I was like, well, they're going to lose. And then enters the story Mr. Keen, who is like a hype man in this story. He's like, oh, yeah, let's put beers on this. Let's put beers on this. So we got a little formal bet about the Lady Cats versus the Lady Saints. I say if the Cats are going to win, and then Mr. Hintz owes me a beer at the tap house. And if the Lady Saints win, I owe him a beer. So shout out to Mr. Hintz and Mr. Keen. Love talking with you guys in the morning. But go Cats.
Yeah, you're going to have some free beers there, Fully.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's fun to have that kind of little interaction, little bet, little beer bet.
Well, now they're listeners to the pod, and I'm trying to convince Mr. Keen. I think Keen's going to become a Bobcat fan. He has no clue about the Bobcats, so I sent him a little bit of like some of the Instagram stuff that they put out. He was like, "Oh man, this is awesome."
Yeah, they've been killing it in the media department the last couple of years. Well, cool. You're gonna be free beer man. It's for sure.
That one's on Mr. Hintz. All right, let's get into the FCS stats rankings. See, Montana State dropped to number 6. Let's just get right to it. So we were at number 2. They dropped to number 6. Montana's up to number 4. Idaho's up to number 3. South Dakota State's number 1. Furman's number 2.
And right behind the Bobcats. Stingers up.
Oh, yeah. Stingers up. Sac State. So, well, they dropped one because they were previously 6. So they kind of got booted a little bit to make room for us. Or to make room for Montana, I suppose, because Montana.
For Idaho and Montana.
Yeah.
The two teams that jumped up the most. Obviously, Idaho would jump up. Makes sense.
Yeah. UC Davis dropped out of the top 25, and that's about it for Bobcats or for the Big Sky. North Dakota State comes in at number 11, so they're just kind of lurking. I don't know what I feel about those guys lurking around 7.
It's weird.
It is kind of weird.
Yeah, crazy.
I don't know.
All the Big Sky is not turning out to be real strong this year. It looked like it was going to be, but Weber's out of the top 25. UC Davis is out of the top 25. You just got the 4. Eastern Washington looked like they might put up a fight early. Nope, not really.
There's still an outside chance for Portland State, Idaho State to make some noise late on. But that's going to take a big if.
Like it's super top heavy. Like 4 of the top 7 teams in the country are in the Big Sky, and then that's it. There's no other Big Sky teams anywhere else in the pool.
No.
Kind of crazy. It's not how it was earlier. But yeah, it feels about right. I mean, I had no idea where Montana State would end up. I thought we wouldn't drop below 5, but, you know, I'm not too upset about it or anything. It is what it is. We lost. You take the lumps when you do.
At least you lose to a team that, you know, is a very respectable team.
Yeah.
And not something like Northern Arizona.
No, it's crazy. I was thinking about this today. We lost to South Dakota State on what could have been a win if Cleveland Thomas got his foot in like 0.5 inches before he did. And against Idaho, that last touchdown pass could have been intercepted by Rylan Ort if he had got there a half second earlier, dropped a touchdown pass. We're just like 2 plays, inches away from being like undefeated. It's kind of crazy. We're right there. But we've had some things not quite fall our way, and here we are with 2 losses.
Do you think this loss could be a good thing for Montana State?
We will see. I think you can definitely glean some positives, some silver linings out of it. So ultimately, maybe. I mean, that's the Grizz lost to NAU, and they've been climbing up and playing well since then. Sometimes you just got to take a lump to kind of learn some things about yourself. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the vegan presser, where he was a little bit flustered, agitated, and annoyed a little bit. But I know we're going to talk about what he wears.
And now, Bobcat fans, it's time for F&F Fashion Watch, brought to you by Foley and Fisher, the only two that seem to really care what Brent Vegan is wearing at his press conference.
Oh, it's so funny. Russell Dam, the, what would you call him? The PA announcer for the Bobcats, I guess.
Great Falls boy.
Yeah. He made that and sent us to it. That was pretty funny. Thank you, Russell. That's pretty awesome.
All right.
But here we go. Bated
Fashion
breath.
Watch. Vegan. He looked like he was wearing a tweed suit. I was looking for the leather patches on his elbows. I didn't see it, but he would be a guy that could pull that off. Also think Vegan could be a guy that could pull off a pipe and a bowler hat. Side note.
Like a corn cob?
No, like a curly, like wooden sculpted pipe.
Okay.
All right. He did have a blue jacket, white shirt, and a gray and blue tie that was in a checkered pattern. There is the Fashion Watch for the week.
Love it.
But like I said, Coach Vegan in this presser went a little bit long because he talked a lot and he seemed a little bit agitated. As much as Coach Vegan looks or can be agitated, and he looked generally just kind of annoyed at the questions.
Well, I mean, that's pretty common for a coach to get up there after a loss and be cranky. I mean, it happens. We haven't really seen it from him too much, but I don't blame him.
He did mention a couple of interesting facts. Idaho ran 73 plays. We ran 47 plays, 20 of which were in the 2-minute drill.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Ooh, that's bad. That's bad. Let's see. We talked a little bit about the offense. I mean, he's getting peppered from questions from Victor Flores and company. And he was like, maybe we should, he talked about the RPO game and pulling balls that should have been given in there, maybe some questionable, decisions
by the
Tommy
quarterbacks.
Right there.
Tommy, yeah.
Last drive, he said, quote unquote, unfortunately, it didn't work out for us. that was it. I was like, that's it? That's your response there? You got to ask twice about that. And that's when he got a little bit annoyed. Some guy came in late, and I think Victor asked it early on. He asked about the last drive. Some guy came in late and asked it. And he was like, well, Victor already talked about that. But I'll answer for it again.
Well, it takes some courage to come in late and just ask a question like that.
Yeah. He did mention that we did not play complimentary football. He said Snell is out indefinitely, at least for the regular season. Could be all season, from what I've heard. Elliott is a week out. Danny's on track, but could be the end of the season. I would not be surprised if he misses Cat Grizz. Lavelle's close. Lavelle's back on the depth chart. He's number 2.
Yep.
So he's like we're hoping kind of mode right here. Aiden Garrigan had a shoulder injury in Cal Poly. That's why we haven't seen him. And Christian Naya, he's out for the regular season.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Jeez. Well, good thing we got Taco back and McCulloch back.
Yeah, well, I hope Taco can shake off a little bit of rust because he missed some big plays out there.
Yeah. All right. Well, we just want to get right into the game here.
So that's it on the presser. But we got to get into the stats first, buddy.
Absolutely. All right. The stats from this one are going to be an interesting read through. That's for sure. 24-21, the Bobcats fall in Moscow. Now it's in my head.
Moscow. Say it with confidence. Moscow.
Well, I wasn't sure because I had never really thought about it before. Have I been saying Moscow this whole time? I don't know. 22 first downs for the Vandals to 17 for the Cats. It's crazy that wasn't that far apart considering what transpired on the field. It looked like it would be way worse than that. 6 for 15 on third down for the Vandals. So the Cats did okay on third down, but then you look down on 3 for 4 on fourth down. Idaho just kept churning away. If they didn't get the first down, they went for it on fourth down anyway. 5 for 10 for the Cats on third down, and 319 total yards for the Cats, 336 for the Vandals. So again, the Bobcats kind of caught up there in the second half after a dismal first half. 191 yards through the air for the Cats, 229 for the Vandals on 22 of 29 passing, but for 7.9 yards per carry. So they weren't real big passes. They were just dinking and dunking all over the place. Cats were 12 for 24 for about 8 yards a pass, so roughly the same yards per pass, but just couldn't get the completions going there in the first half. 128 yards for the Cats, by far a season low, on 5.6 yards per carry, which for most teams would be pretty happy with that. For the Bobcats, that's pretty awful. On 23 attempts, so we actually passed the ball more than we ran the ball. Tom Stuber, have you gone and dug this out for us yet? When's the last time that happened? It has to be like a Rob Ash stat. I can't imagine that's happened since anybody was here named Choate or Vegan. We did hold, the Cats held the Vandals to 107 yards on the ground on 44 carries for 2.4 yards per carry. Each team was penalized 3 times. Nobody turned the ball over, but here we go. 41 minutes and 27 seconds of time of possession for the Vandals. Just 18 minutes and 33 seconds for the Bobcats. That's painful.
Yeah, that is the stat of the day, of the week. Wow. Man, I look at that every time. I still shake my head.
It's brutal. They more than doubled
punted
us up.
3 times for 152 yards. They punted only twice.
Yeah, I know.
For 79 yards. In the red zone, we were 2 for 3. They were 4 for 4. We had 4 sacks for 22 yards. They had 1 sack for 8 yards. Theirs mattered more.
Big time sack.
Yeah. Field goals, we were 0 for 2 and 1 for 1 for Idaho. They hit a 53-yarder. All right, let's take a look at some players. Malott was 12 for 24 for 191. 2 touchdowns. He was 6 for 20 on the ground. Julius Davis was 11 for 84 with 1 touchdown. He was my player of the game. If I had to give an MVP for the Cats, Julius Davis. Jared White was 2 for 17 with the rush and 1 for 16 with a touchdown. And that was a catch of a pass. CT, 3 for 23. Pickering, 4 for 87. Jacob Trimble, 1 for 46. Ryland Ort had 14 total with 1.5 tackles for a loss. Greavy had 10 total, 2.5 tackles for a loss, 1 sack. Seabass, 7 total, half tackle for a loss, half sack. John Johnson, half tackle for a loss. Ben Seymour, 1.5 tackles for a loss, 1 sack. Kenneth Iden, the 4th, same, although he had 1.5 sacks. So there's the rest of your 4 sacks. Brennan Hall had a 48-yard field goal blocked and a 43-yard miss. But he did have a 60-yard punt. That was good for sticks. There you go. Giovanni McCoy had a very Giovanni type of day. 22 for 29, 229, 2 touchdowns. And he was 10 for 31 on the ground. Woods, their running back, was 24-68 with a touchdown. Nick Romano, man, that guy was a bruiser of a back. He didn't have much, but he got really important yards when they needed it. 10 for 44. Hatton was only 4 for 63. I mean, 63 is still a lot, I suppose, but he had a touchdown at the very end there. Jermaine Jackson was 5 for 58, and Therese Trainer, 5 for 48 with 1 touchdown. Those are your stats.
Yeah. I mean, things that just jump out individually, like you said, McCoy just had himself like as kind of a normal day. 229 yards. I mean, not a ton of yards, but 22 for 29, man. He just wasn't missing.
Well, we talked about them. We talked about the Bobcats not wanting to be beat over the top, and they weren't.
No.
They seem to do a good job at not getting beat deep, but they concede these 4 or 5 yard passes. And that's what he took.
Yeah, he took that all day. He was hitting them at a high clip because guys were open pretty much everywhere. Like we were just, like you said, conceding it. And you would assume that at some point you would just get him to miss a few throws and make a few stops and get a punt, but that just never happened. It never happened. They were able to just slice and dice us in the smallest ways possible, like paper cuts, like we talked about, like just death by 1,000 paper cuts is what this game was.
Yeah, it was, man.
It was so painful to watch. Just them slowly march down the field, slowly. About the most boring brand of football you'll ever watch in your entire life. But it worked. They got 5 yards here, 7 yards there, a couple times, 12, 14 yards. Yeah, that's all it was. A slow march, letting the play clock go all the way down. It worked. They played keep away. That was the whole plan for Idaho, was to limit the Bobcats' possessions, and they got a few 3-and-outs, and then they got that ball really rolling.
Perfect game plan against Montana
Yeah.
State. Take it right there. Blueprint. Want to beat Montana State? Don't give us the ball. Pass it underneath. Run for 3 yards. Pass it for 4. Get in third short. Can get it there, man. Montana State refused to send any pressure outside of the 4.
I mean, I would have liked to see us try, because at some point, at least if you get burned deep, you get your defense off the field. Like, they were on the field for so long, you got to start taking some gambles. Okay, it was 10-0 at halftime. It should have been 10-7, because that was when Taco dropped the touchdown pass right there before halftime. So even 10-0, like, okay, that was a bad half of football. It is what it is. And we came out and we scored right away in the second half. It was 10-7. And you're feeling okay. Well, as long as we can get a stop. But then they just kept doing the same thing. They just kept doing it. And at some point, like, you just got to be more aggressive. You can't let them do that. I think I texted you in the third quarter, like, we got to score here because we might only get the ball like 2 more times.
I didn't get the text, man.
every oh, that's right, you were there. Every single possession was so crucial, and it's crazy. In the second half, we scored on every single possession except for the final one. So we got it rolling. In fact, if you go back to the last drive of the first half, the Cats really had it going. They got it figured out. We just ran out of possessions because the defense never got it figured out. So both the offense and the defense started off slow. The offense woke up. The defense kind of just stayed in that don't get beat deep, but absolutely make 0 plays. They just never made a play. Sort of boiled down to the defense never made a play.
I mean, this is a classic game, like what if game, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go back into the first quarter and you say, hey, what if they didn't call offsides when it was clearly a false start on 4th down? You wonder about, what if Taco Dowler catches that football? What if we hit a field goal?
Yeah.
Oh, kind of crazy, though. I don't know, man.
Like, what if that field goal is not
convoluted things.
blocked and Hall actually hits it? That changes his confidence. That changes a lot of things.
Yep.
So, I mean, it was total what ifs. And you look back at this game and it's like, Idaho showed the blueprint how to beat the Bobcats. And I think the Idaho played about as good as they can. I listened to a little bit of the Tubbs of the Club podcast. I didn't make it all the way through, but they were ecstatic with Idaho play. They thought Idaho played great. We know that the Bobcats didn't play great. And yes, plenty of credit to Idaho for the game plan and execution, and they made plays, and they really befuddled the offense. I was listening to a little bit of the Mikey Ryder and Coulter today, and they're talking about how what the defensive coordinator did for Idaho did was try and just confuse Tommy before the snap. So he would do an RPO, and he'd call out and he'd throw a bubble screen. But they were just trying to really confuse him into making the wrong pre-snap reads. So a lot of the stuff that you could go, like the play calls in the beginning of the game, Idaho was doing a lot of stuff to confuse the Bobcats, and that's why they thought there was a bubble screen to be had. Like, they threw the screen to like Cleveland Thomas or whatever, and Idaho was ready for it. So I give a lot of credit to Idaho, but I still think Montana State is overall a better football team. Like, I think a rematch would favor the Bobcats pretty heavily. That's how I feel about it. Could be completely wrong. Idaho could do the same exact thing again. It just feels like the Bobcats took a really good punch from Idaho, and I don't know if Idaho can punch much harder against the Bobcats than they did. Whereas we know that Bobcats can certainly play better than they did. So that was the frustrating part. But I want to give a lot of credit to Idaho. I don't want to sound like it's sour grapes or anything. Idaho won the game easily. They did it.
I think it's fair to feel a little bit sour.
And I just don't want to. I don't like it when people say like the Bobcats beat themselves. Like I don't like that kind of rhetoric. The other team beat you. You did things that you did or did not do things that could have won the game for yourself. But
I don't think it's either or. It's kind of like one of those both ands.
sure.
So I think Taylor Housewright called a really crappy game, in my opinion. The middle part, pretty decent. Tony, why are we coming out trying to throw the ball when we run the ball for over 7 yards?
This is kind of what I was talking about with the Mikey Ryder thing. They weren't necessarily designed passes. Tommy just saw the defense and that's what he would call, or an RPO, and he would make their decision to pass.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Now, but part of that is
about that. Yeah,
okay. So let's say that is what happened. You can call a run play as the offensive coordinator. You don't have to say like, okay, Tommy, go out there and do an RPO and do what you think is best. No, just hand the ball to Julius Davis. So in some ways, yes, I don't want to put all the blame on anybody, but it was a weird game for the identity of the Bobcats. Like, what are we doing? Now, is it Housewright? Is it Malott? Is it combo? But it just wasn't the Bobcats. It didn't look like the Bobcats.
No, not at all. When you pass more than you run, that's not a Bobcat game.
No.
We got away from our identity. And then it's like, holy cow, we got punched in the mouth, and all of a sudden we're like, well, what do we do? Weird crap, apparently. We don't like actually fall back on the things we actually do well. At least I thought we were going to. Like, second half comes, we're only down 10-0, and then we march down the field. We're like, here we go. I thought we had all the momentum in that third quarter.
We did. We got scored on 14-0.
Yeah.
But the defense couldn't get off the field, man. So
that was weird.
It was a weird one.
Garza, I think. I think for not, like you said, at least try to do something, because in a way that was like the definition of insanity.
Yeah. No, and our guys were biting on stuff too. I mean, is that partly Danny Yu? If he's in there, is he a bit smarter and doesn't bite on some of this stuff? Like, there's just a lot to unpack. I mean, we're down to third string nickelback, which is a hugely important part of our offense, or I'm sorry, our defense. So there's some things like that, some personnel things that could have contributed to it. But overall, like, yeah, you got to just send the house a couple times. You got to make McCoy think about it back there. He was too comfortable. And honestly, Idaho's offense completely out-physicaled the Bobcat defense, which is something I haven't really seen too much this year. Especially when you consider, like, Idaho was missing some key guys on their offensive line. They're basically a bunch of freshmen and sophomores, and I thought they pretty much handled the Bobcat front seven or front five, whatever you want to call it for the Cats.
A little bit, but I think you're giving them a little bit too much credit. They only averaged 2.4 yards a carry, and they ran it 40 times. In his passes, Thorny, he wasn't taking drops, because remember what happened when he did take drops the first series? We had 2 sacks on him.
Yeah,
he was getting out the ball fast, just like Sack did, just like Cal Poly did. This all goes back to Cal Poly. Cal Poly showed a little bit on tape of how to move the ball against the Cats. Quick pass game.
Yep.
Sack did the same thing to us. Idaho tried to set up the pass. We sacked them. They went up 3-and-out on the first series. Okay, we're going to go to the quick pass game. Cool. You can just let us have that little bubble. Sweet. Well, we'll take 5 yards. We'll take 4 yards. And then when they knew they could get that, that's when they started going for fourth downs. I mean, that was the most frustrating thing about this was you're like, okay, we're going to have to stop these guys all 4 downs because Jason X is going to go for a 4 down anywhere.
Every time he's going to go.
Time. Yeah.
And I mean, at some point, it's like, I'm going to go for it on 4th and 2. Like, whatever, they're going to get it. Like, I had little faith at any point that we're going to stop them on 4th down. We got that one where they decided to go deep for some inexplicable reason and overthrew their wide receiver. And we got the ball back and scored a touchdown and went up 24-17.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, like, all right, X going for it on every single 4th down finally came back and bit him in the butt. They didn't get it. We capitalized and scored a touchdown. So we had scored outscored them 21-7 at that point in the second half. But in that last drive for Idaho, it's a nice drive. It was frustrating, but it was a typical drive of the entire day.
Yep.
It was the same. We didn't get any more aggressive.
And Ort was that close to tipping that ball.
On TV, man, it looked like Ort was going to get there. That was such a good throw. That was the most perfect throw you can throw. That was an amazing throw. But yes, Ort was like...
third down. That was 3rd and long.
True.
Because, So they still were going to go for it on fourth.
Yeah, but they needed a long first down and they needed a touchdown. So
yeah,
that would have been one of the more confident fourth downs I would have had, but it didn't matter. They didn't get their fourth down. Yeah, and then
no turnovers in this game either, which is odd.
Yeah, well, both teams protect the ball pretty well. I mean, that was Idaho's downfall against the Grizz as they threw 2 interceptions and then fumbled it.
Yeah.
So they didn't against us. They played the perfect game plan. They executed it perfectly. 8-minute drives that resulted in a touchdown. Ugh.
Got some questions for you.
Yeah.
Talk about mixing the chilies.
Sean Chambers, 3 carries for 7 yards. Maybe he didn't even throw a pass, but was he in at quarterback at one point to hand it off? He has 3 carries, but did he have more than 3 snaps? That I'm not entirely sure, but
I don't think he played second half. Played first.
No, he didn't. They basically all right, we're down 10-0. We're going to just ride Tommy. And to be fair, Tommy played really good in the second half.
He did.
At one point, he was like 12 for 14 in the second half or something. He was cooking.
Still think the Bobcats would look better with Sean Chambers.
I mean, you could be right. Ultimately, you could be right. I don't know if that would have changed anything from today. Maybe we get a first down in the first half, but that's no guarantee. I mean, you can't play much better than Tommy did in the second half. Outside that last drive, and we have to talk about that last drive. I'm sorry, the final even like possession. Excuse me.
Just acknowledge this for me. When has Montana State looked the best offensively?
I mean, yeah, if you're talking like overall the best offensively, I guess is when Chambers was going stem to stern.
Yep,
by himself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like that's a 10 out of 10, and then both of them together is like a 6 out of 10. We're talking the difference between like a 10 out of 10 and like a 9.2 out of 10. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that much better. It's better, but is it negligible?
I think there's a bigger difference. I'm not going to get into the numbers, but I think there's a bigger difference.
Yeah, I don't know. That's certainly a discussion to have, and we've had it plenty of times. I just don't think that the way Tommy played cost us this game. I think it was more of a defense not getting off the field and, I don't know, play calling in terms of not giving the ball to the running backs. I am curious about the last...
Feed Julius Davis the freaking ball.
We got down...
I had to say that.
We got down to the 18-yard line with 52 seconds left and 3 timeouts. And what do? Call 3 pass plays and lose 8 yards. I did the math on this, or not the math, but I mapped out that last possession. So yeah, 3 timeouts. We get a first down to the 18-yard line. Clock goes when they set the chains. Clock goes down all the way down to, I think it was 36 seconds before we snap the ball. So 16 seconds of like getting up to the line, looking at the defense, making a little audible. I think Tommy brought over Jared White, who was lined up in the flat, into the backfield, probably for pass protection. They throw the fade to Cleveland Thomas, and wasn't a chance. Okay. That took it down to 27 seconds. Tommy gets sacked on that play, loses 8 yards on second down. I think he brought in Julius Davis to pass protect on that one, and Davis did a good job. But the thing was, Idaho blitzed both linebackers and a cornerback straight up the middle, and they dropped both their defensive ends into coverage like on the flat. So they just overran the middle. Davis picked up a guy, but there was another guy, and he just went untouched. Took Tommy down real easy. Call a timeout. There's like 22 seconds left at this point. So we still have two timeouts and 22 seconds left. So my thing here is, okay, when what happened before I even say anything else is we took another shot at the end zone. Tommy gets hit as he throws it and sails it over Trimble's head into the end zone and falls harmlessly to the ground. Okay, so the first 2 didn't go real well. Just try and do like a draw play and get like 10, 15 yards back. Settle for the field goal. Settle for it.
Yeah.
Give Brandon Hall the shortest kick you could possibly give him. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Like if you're gonna, I just hate that we just took 3 shots at the end zone, or we were going to. Tommy got sacked on that one. Maybe he would have scrambled. Who knows? But he got sacked. It was an obvious pass play. But we had 3 timeouts with 52 seconds left in the red zone. We didn't run the ball once. We didn't use the middle of the field once. We threw 3 jump balls, fade balls, or I'm sorry, 2 of them, and then got sacked. And then kicked a field goal that from a kicker who was having a hard time making kicks the last couple of games. Like it was just the way we got down to the 18-yard line was beautiful. Tommy was throwing the ball all over the place. It was great. We got down there so fast. My first thought was like, great, now we can run the ball. We got down in the red zone so quick, we can run the ball now. Heh. No, I think pretty much everybody in Bobcat Nation was thinking that, okay, we can run the ball now.
Well, Idaho was giving their prevent defense. That's why we could get down there that fast. But yeah, that's what happens when you get in the red zone. Get timeout right there. Talk it over.
Yeah, take a timeout right after you get that first down. You got 52 seconds left. Take your first timeout. Talk about
play,
the
and
next
if it doesn't
3
work,
plays.
take a timeout. Just say, okay, cool. Okay, what do we got? What do you want to do? That was such a bad sequence for House Right. Like a defining bad sequence. We don't roast people very much on this podcast, but that was just really bad. Absolutely bad.
Yeah, but I mean, if you listen to like even Vegan talking about like, were those designed passes or were they just like RPOs that Tommy decided to throw the fades? Like, I don't know. But
like you said, then don't call an RPO.
As the offense coordinator, don't give him the chance. Like, do what you want to do in that situation. It's like, I don't know. Tommy had gotten us all the way down the field, and Tommy's like the guy you want to have the ball in those moments. I think that was answered. We talked about that last episode. Who do you want to have the ball on a game-winning drive? Well, I know who the coaches want to have the ball at the very least. It's Tommy, and it looked fine. But yeah, just the last possession, those last 3 plays, hated it. Hated how it looked. Hated how we went about it.
Yep.
Painful.
Flip it over to I hated the start as well.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand why we don't start by running the ball. My son was yelling, pass the ball, pass the ball. I was like, Miles, we need to run the ball here. He's like, why? He's like, because we need to establish that we can't. We're not going to get a ton. Like, yeah. I don't know, Thorny. Hey, guess what? Turns out we're really good running the ball. Guess what we didn't do? First 3 possessions. Typically, I think we started with passes on each of them.
Yeah, I know the first one was like first or second one was 2 straight passes, and then Julius Davis got a handoff and went 8 yards.
Yep.
And Vigan talked about the specific plays. Like that he's like, typically that's about a 14 or 15 yard gain for us. So like they were totally expecting that run play to get a first down. And it was a great play by the Idaho linebacker who caught him and tackled him and drug him down. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, Davis had tons of space. But, I mean, the thing is, I remember it was against Weber State. We ran the ball 3 times in a row on first down on the first possession, got like 3 yards and punted. So it's like, it's easy to look back and say it was terrible. We could have ran the ball 3 times and punted, and then we would have been mad that we didn't pass the ball.
But why did we do that, though, Thorny? Because you know the rest of this story.
I don't know why we did it.
Yes, you did. No, for Weber. Why did we run it 3 times in a row?
Against Weber? Just to kind of set up some play action deep passes.
Bingo.
I don't know. I don't think we were setting anything up in Idaho. I don't know what we were doing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Just trying to
you don't know what we were doing.
We were just trying to get a first down is all it really looked like.
And it took, what did they say, 83 seconds to the end of the quarter, to the end of the half before we got our first down?
Bueno.
Expletives.
Yeah. Idaho wanted the game, man. Idaho was fired up. They were hitting hard. They were playing physical. I give Idaho credit on that. They came out and punched us in the mouth. And in true Bobcat fashion, we didn't really waver. We just didn't quite complete the comeback. We just took too many punches, I guess, before we got off the mat. These slow starts are a problem, man. This isn't the first slow start.
No, it's not.
Like, we're a team that just doesn't seem to come out hot. And that's a problem.
Yeah, I don't know why we don't lean into our identity a little bit more at the very beginning. Seems like we're trying to do something that's too cute right off the bat. Just run the damn ball, man. Stuff it down their throat.
Yeah.
And if we go 3 and out and set up the play action pass, who cares? Just run the damn ball.
RTDB.
Dang. Come on, House Right. Be better, man. Be better at your job. That was a crappy performance. You got to do better. You're a professional. You have the best running team in the damn nation, and you choose to throw 3 times on the games on the line when we have over a minute and 3 timeouts. Run the damn ball.
Whoa. Love
All
it. There's some.
Gosh dang it.
Don't wake up your household. Kids are
Gosh
sleeping.
dang it. Run the freaking ball, man. Do it.
Yeah. That's all I wanted to see in the last drive. Like I said, I don't know exactly who to, I don't want to say blame, but who was calling the passes, but I don't care. Just run the damn ball. That is the end of the story right there. We had plenty of time, 3 timeouts. What do we do? I mean, if we would have ran the ball 3 times for 8 yards and then kicked a field goal, that would have been 16 yards closer than the field goal we attempted. So even a 3 runs and then a kick would have been a better scenario than what transpired. It would have been at least a more manageable or makeable kick.
Okay, we got to move on. Because we're just going to sit here.
So,
I'm just going to get more mad.
The last thing I want to say about Idaho, and this, I rewatched a little bit of the game and some highlights. It's just one of those games, man, and it felt that way. Like you were just like 1 second too slow. McCoy got hit several times right before he threw the ball. Or like right before he threw the ball. Jeez, no, he got hit right before he threw the ball. What am I trying to say? I cannot figure this out in my head right now. That sounds so stupid. But the point is, he got the ball off right before he got hit. Let me rephrase it so it makes sense to me right now. It happened several times. Or the one where Ort was so close to at least tipping the ball or possibly picking it off. It was just one of those games where it just felt like maybe this just isn't the game. It's just not going to happen. You know what I'm talking about? Some games are just like, it just doesn't feel like it's going to happen today. It's kind of how the game
Montana
was.
State was number 2 in the nation. It should always happen.
It should.
I mean, these are excuses we would have made back in 2015, 2016. Not in 2023.
I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying it felt like that kind of game.
Yeah, I get it. But you expect Montana State to, even if that does happen, to overcome.
Yep.
And we didn't. And it's not the end of the world. You know, Bobcat Nation, it's not the end of the world. We still have everything out in front of us. We just have a harder path to get there. Conference championship is now a little bit more harder to secure. We're not going to get that outright. We have a loss now. Second seed's probably off the table. Maybe not. Maybe it is. Who knows? We'll get into that kind of conversation. Main thing now is Montana State needs to come out pissed off, ready to just blow the doors off in Northern Arizona. Leave no questions asked.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what it's going to take. We got to take out all the anger. And that's my biggest hope for this game is that the Cats come out and just play mad. Play mad. Be aggressive. Make some plays. Remind everybody that we're one of the top teams in the country.
Clear eyes, full heart. Can't lose.
All right. So anything else you want to say about Idaho?
No, I don't want to go back to the Kibbie Dome either if it's in the semis. There's a Golden Coolie question out there. Somebody asked me, this whole, hey, it's Foley's fault. I was the scapegoat on Bobcat Nation, and I kind of teased it up last week. And then somebody said, I can't remember. They're like, it's Foley. Foley was there. I'm blaming him. And then somebody put in the Golden Coolie question, said, in the last 5 years, what's your record, Foley? I went back and I did a little research, Thorny. I've been to 5 games in the last 5 years, which is not a proud statement by this guy, by the way, but that's what happens when you move to the state of Washington and you're not close to the Bobcats anymore.
You have kids.
Yeah. Of those 5 games, 4 of them have been losses. 4.
It's not good.
There was no games in 2018 that I went to. Let's see. So that goes to 2019. We were at the Sac State loss.
Our infamous Sac State last home loss that the Bobcats had.
Yeah, homecoming 21-34. And then we went to a win you and I were at Gold Rush versus Drake in 2021, 45-7. So got off the Schneid.
At that point, not too bad. Like 1-1, right?
Yeah. And then we went to the national championship game that year. So that was a loss, 10-38. Then you and I went to Oregon State game last year, which was...
Yeah, that shouldn't really count. I mean, that was pretty much going to be a loss, right?
Yeah, right. It's a loss, though.
The loss.
I think that Oregon State game cost us more in the playoffs than we think, actually. Anyways. And then Vandals. So here you go. 4 out of the last 5 games. This guy has seen the Montana State Bobcats.
Haven't you gone to an Eastern game? I thought you went to an Eastern game since we've done.
You know what? I actually did not. You know why? Because I knew what kind of guy I am. No, I wasn't able to go to the Eastern game last year for some reason. When we won. Yes, I've been to Eastern games here. I've been living in Washington now for going on 9 years. So
that's funny. Like I was so nervous to go to the Cat Grizz game last year because I thought I was going to jinx it with my luck.
But you didn't.
But no, best decision I ever did, going to game day and then seeing the Cats just pummel the Grizz and Bozeman after a game day. Highlighted my Bobcat fandom right there. Fantastic.
Really?
So you just got to keep going, man. You'll get that highlight. You got to outwork that jinx.
I will.
It's the only way to get out of a shooting slump is to shoot the ball.
I like it.
But the other thing that I thought of, I remember on the podcast last week, and I was kind of cranky with you. You mentioned that we'd booked tickets, or not tickets, the hotel room. And as soon as you said that on the podcast, I'm like, Foley, don't say that out loud. Foley, man. So you double jinxed it with your presence and your announcement.
No.
So
it's only a jinx if you say it's a jinx. It's not a jinx.
Okay, it's not a jinx.
Take it back.
Okay, I take it back. Let's see. Let's do maybe some Golden Coolie questions that kind of pertain to this game before we move on.
Don't really want to talk about Northern Arizona. Can we do a 5-minute snippet of what you think Northern Arizona? I didn't do any research for those
guys. And then go back to Coolie questions about Idaho?
Yeah. Okay. All I know is they're starting 2 different quarterbacks now. DeMonte was their freshman quarterback that they had early on when they beat the Grizz. And now they're bringing in another guy too.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. So
he's more of a runner. He's a dual threat kind of dude.
I haven't done a ton of prep either. NAU sitting 3-5 on the year. But what are they? 3-2 in the Big Sky. So they're in the mix for. I mean, I guess they're in the mix for a conference championship theoretically. But they started off the year losing to Arizona 3-38. They lost at North Dakota 22-37. Then they lost to Utah Tech 36-50. So you're thinking at this point, all right, NAU is who we thought they are. Terrible. We're talking Chris Ball's finally going to get himself fired. Then they beat the Grizz 28-14 at home. Shocked the world. That was a crazy one. I was not expecting that. Then they go on the road at Sac State and lose 30-31. That was a crazy game. They had Sac on the ropes. They could have won that game too. Then they go on the road and handle Weber State, hapless, toothless Weber State, 27-10. Goodness, how far the Wildcats have fallen this year. Then they took it on the chin against Portland State. That was a little bit surprising. I thought that was going to be a pretty good matchup. Portland State took it to them, 45-21 in Hillsboro. And then at home, they took care of UC Davis last week, 38-21. Kind of handled the Aggies with Lan Larison, the full complement of offensive firepower that UC Davis has, who has now fallen to 4-4. But yeah, NAU took it to them, man. They were, it was 17-13 at halftime. Ended up being 38-21. So they got it going down there, man. They got some stuff working for them, the Lumberjacks.
They play to their competition, which means they're probably going to play Montana State.
They'll give us a game. I think the Cats opened at 27.5 favorites in this game.
That seems high.
It's absurd. If we beat them by 27.5 points, I'll be ecstatic.
Yeah, Montana State needs to come out and just exercise some demons. Just pummel these dudes.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking
from the get-go.
looking at their stats, man, they're kind of like middle of the road and everything. They're not really good at any one thing. They're not terrible at any one thing. So, I mean, I don't know much about the personnel to break down on this one. This isn't really what we do on the podcast. Sometimes we're better at than others. But mostly, like, the Cats should beat a team with a losing record in November, big man month, right?
Big man
Bringing
month.
that one back.
Let's go.
They should beat any team that has a losing record in Bozeman, period. That should be an easy win. Now, will this be an easy win? I don't know. There's going to be a lot of questions, I think, answered in this one. How do the Cats respond? How do they bounce back? How do they look? Were things exposed in Idaho, or do we just have an off game? There's going to be some these next two games, and it starts right here. We'll be very curious to see how the Cats come out. How the Cats are. Are they who we thought they are, or are we kind of slipping? I don't think we're slipping. I think we had an off game. I think Idaho had a great game. And I think we're going to come out and smoke NAU and Eastern.
If the Cats have an off game, then there's a lot of things I would question about the Cats. Because we've been on this train for a while saying the Cats are a really good team, really well-coached team, have a lot of confidence. So if the Cats struggle against Northern Arizona, then there's a lot to question at that point. The way Northern Arizona plays this, tries to keep in this game, short passing game. I know they like to do a lot of mixed fronts on defense, change the pitcher on Tommy Malott. So there's things they're going to try to do, no doubt. But in the end, Montana State has better players. We're at home. We have like the longest home winning streak. Knock on wood right there, eh?
Yeah. So,
Cats should take care of business. Cats really need to take care of the business next 2 weeks going into the Cat Grizz game. Here's this, though. I'll just put this: we need to win. Just straight up win, we'll be in the playoffs no matter what. We could we could lose the next 2 games. I'm not saying we are going to, but that would put us in 7 wins. We have the name recognition. This will get us in the playoffs.
Yep, it's true. Once you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. I mean, look at South Dakota State a few years ago. They made it all the way to Bozeman. They came in like 7-4 or something and won like 3 straight road games to get to the semifinal.
Yeah.
So that's what the FCS playoffs are for. You just got to get your foot in the door. We wanted to secure that 2 seed, and that's probably not going to happen. But a 3 seed, I think, is within reach, and a 3 seed still gets us on the opposite side of the bracket of South Dakota State.
And from what I've seen is Montana State could win a national championship. They could beat any team in the nation.
I think they can. I think they can. I think they can put it together. If they can put a full game together, this is something that hasn't happened too much, if at all, this year.
Yeah. This needs to coalesce at the very end.
I mean, teams have gotten better late under Vegan. Is it this going to be a year that reverses? I don't think so. But it's we'll see. Big man month, November, man. We got 3 games left. Starts right here.
Oh, Vegan knows, man. He knows.
Do you think, speaking of like getting better as the season goes on, do you think we see Casey Kotzman on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because we didn't mention that. He did talk about that in the presser. I do.
Yeah, it's hard to envision that he's not. We've talked about this. I hate piling on kids. I don't like doing any of that kind of stuff, but we got to figure the kicking situation out. You can't miss like 3 or 4 straight field goals over the span of 2 games. You just can't do it. He hasn't made one in some time. So something's got to give, because that cost us a game. One of the things that cost us a game. It's easy to say the last play of the game was the one that cost us the game, but I think the drop by Taco was worse. But we don't need to hash into it anymore. But we got to get better at making some field goals. That's what I'm trying to say.
He's had a longer leash than most would.
All right. Well, anything else about Northern Arizona, man? I feel kind of bad about that little preview, but it is what it is. It's NAU at home in November. They're not a bad football team, man. They still have stuff to play for. Like NAU teams of the past at this point would be, on the road, especially this late in the season, would be probably giving up. Although we had a hard time at NAU in Flagstaff last year.
Couple things I'm looking for. more pressure on the quarterback. I need to see some of the blitzes we were running early on in this season. And we've kind of gone away from those. 2, I want to see mix in the Chilies. I need to see some Chambers out there. A defined role for Sean Chambers. Seems like when the chips are down, they just turn to Tommy. Bobcat offense runs better with Chambers. Challenge me on that. Number 3, our wide receivers need to be better in the production all around. They did not help Tommy Malott last game. It cost us the game. Taco Dowler, you need to be better. Catch your balls. Jacob Trimble. Who else had drops?
Did Trimble drop the ball?
No, Trimble actually was one of the ones that caught.
Yeah, he had a really nice catch.
Ty McCullough.
He dropped one that looked like it was catchable. Had a guy right in his face, but
yeah,
that's a catchable football.
No, just be better. Kind of feel bad seeing all that stuff because I'm just like, who am I, right? I'm just some dude behind a microphone. Be better, but come on. I guess I'm just a little frustrated.
Yeah,
I think it's okay to be frustrated.
There's a lot of frustrating things for this game, and we're just saying what we feel right now. It is what it is. The frustration
Airing
can
the
bubble
grievances.
over. But we do need for a team that needs to be efficient passing the ball, you just can't have drops.
Right.
So I think that really sums it up there. Okay. Anything else about NAU?
No, it's just looking some Golden Coolie questions.
You want me to hit on Twitter first since I got it kind of pulled up right here?
Sure.
Nick Deal asks us, rate your confidence of a win in the brawl prior to the game and now.
I feel it's 50-50 shot right now. Coin flip game. Especially if the Grizzlies take care of Sack on Saturday. If they start feeling the magic inside Washington Grizzlies Stadium, it's probably not going to go well for the Cats.
So compare that to how you felt before the game, before the Idaho game.
I wasn't really thinking about the Grizz before the game, so I'm just going to keep with it. I know we were pretty high on the Cats beating the Grizz throughout the season. I think it's more of a coin flip right now.
I agree with that too, and I think part of that more is just how much better the Grizz are playing. Not necessarily because the Cats are playing terrible or anything. The Grizz have just gotten better, and
I think they're believing, and that's a dangerous thing as a football team.
Nope.
Yeah,
that's part of it too. But I mean, the Cats, Idaho, like you said, laid the blueprint on how to beat the Cats, and I think the Grizz could replicate a lot of those things. That's what kind of worries me more than anything is the Grizz, I think, are similarly built in terms of like ball control offense, and they have a very good run defense. It's not the first time that the Grizz have had a very good run defense, and then the Cats run for 300 plus yards on them, though. So we'll see. The last time in Missoula went really badly, but Matt McKay was at quarterback. So I don't know. I would say if you're asking me to compare before and after, I probably feel a little bit worse than I did before the Idaho loss. But I wouldn't say that I feel like the Cats are going to win or can't win. But I definitely, whatever confidence level I had before the game is definitely decreased a little, unfortunately. Russell Dam, there you are. A few years ago, we got beat by the Grizz and went to the national championship. Maybe it's not a terrible thing for a reality check. I mean, yeah, we kind of talked about that. We didn't really get back to that. I think you kind of asked about it. We never actually got back to it.
I'm with Russell on that. I think this is a wake-up call.
I mean, it's not a terrible thing. I don't think it's a terrible thing.
No.
We'll see how that transpires. Obviously, it's easy to say it's not a terrible thing right now, but then it could cause us to go in a tailspin. But, I mean, that's what happened to the Grizz. I think Coach Tyler Walker was showing... Is Tyler Walker, right? The tight ends coach?
Correct.
He was showing some of the guys, some of the... I think it was Nolan Askelson was talking about it. I don't know who was talking about it, but they were talking about... Coach was showing them some of the stuff from the year that the Bison lost 2 games or something like that in the regular season that went on to win the national championship. So I think they're kind of trying to show them, hey, losing doesn't have to be the end of the world. It's true. Like sometimes it galvanizes you. Sometimes it's what you need. As Coulter was saying today, to self-scout yourself. If you lose, that's when you have to look inward. Like, what did we do wrong? Now, if you're winning, I mean, the old saying goes, you don't learn anything when you win. You learn when you lose. And here we are. Are we going to learn anything? We'll find out.
Speaking of tight ends, a little tangent. Losing Derek Snell sucks.
Oh, man. Yeah, the last 2 games, the Bobcats looked a little bit different. It's the first 2 games without Derek Snell in a long time.
Yeah.
So
he's an important part.
He's such a good player, and I think he's such an important leader and a tone setter in terms of like physicality and aggressiveness. So I think it's going to be a bigger loss than you might think. Not only with all the Swiss Army stuff he can do, just like the leadership and the how good he is at blocking. I don't know. It'd be tough to replace him. It's tough. Drew Burkhart asks us, why do you think the coaching staffs insist on being so cute on offense, especially early in games, when not one team has proven that they can consistently stop a rushing attack? Bingo. We are being cute. I think we Housewright or Vigan, I don't know who's in charge of all this stuff, but we just seem to outthink ourselves. It's sometimes it's more simple than that. Teams are expecting us to run, so like, okay, what are we going to do? They're going to expect us to come out running. So who cares? Everyone expects us to run the ball on every single play. So run the ball. When has anybody stopped us when they know we're going to run it? Nobody.
Right?
Everyone knows we're going to run it. Nobody stops us.
You know what I
Don't
like,
overthink
Thorny? I like winning. You know what happens when we run? We win the damn game.
Yep. The 2 losses we had this year, we were held to like 200-ish yards against South Dakota State. And what was it, 130-some yards against Idaho? Every other game has been like 270 plus. So it's pretty simple. Run the ball, win the game. Roger Fisher, buy or sell. The coaches saw something on film that they thought they could use against Idaho's defense, hence the throwing. Bonus question, if we catch those passes, the game is very different. I guess not bonus question, just bonus thought. Yeah, I agree. We talked about it. A couple of those catches, I mean, it is different game. And we're not sitting here complaining the same way. If Taco catches that touchdown pass and we win this game by, 3 points, then it's all kind of moot. We're happy with the road wins against a top 10 team.
I think some of it's on Tommy's. His decisions in the RPO game too.
So I guess buy or sell that they saw something on Idaho's defense on film. I don't know. I guess I think I'd probably sell that.
Buy? I don't know.
Yeah, I really don't know.
It's a tough question, Roger.
It's a tough question. And with what we heard about Tommy making decisions on the throwing and how much that faith they put in him to make the reads and stuff, like it's really hard to know what the game plan was. If Tommy's thinking, if the game plan's to run the ball, but they give him the RPO option and Tommy's pulling it and throwing it, it's like, yeah, I don't know.
Put that game plan in the fire. Learn from it and burn it.
Okay, I think that's all I got on Twitter.
All right. Colorado Cat says, Foley, how much personal responsibility do you take for the outcome of the game? 0.
You should take 0
anymore.
Don't let the haters, including me, bring you down.
It's not winning Colorado Cat. That's not going to win. Okay.
Getting a little cranky.
Bloom
about
Gold
this.
Blitz says, pretty sure Foley has a lifetime ban from attending Bobcat games. Just kidding.
So pretty much everything just going to be piling on you from here on out.
Now on to, why did the people like the Kibbe Dome? I think it's a terrible venue. It's it's loud for sure. And you don't have to deal with the weather. It wasn't my favorite, I'll tell you that. But my gripes has more to do with the clientele that was around me and the people I interacted with. So not as much as just like the physical Kibbe Dome. It was an okay venue. Do you think the upcoming DUI court dates are weighing heavy on the OC and DC's minds, making our game plans less than stellar? I'm going to stop right there. No, I don't think that has any bearing on how they call plays. What do you think, Thorny?
No, I wouldn't really think so either. I mean, they should be able to put that aside and come up with a game plan and carry on the job as normal. I don't know. It's easy to sit there and say that, but I don't think that's the problem.
He asked us about court dates and whatnot. Not sure about that.
I really don't follow that. I don't know.
Yeah.
The status.
He says, most importantly, does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
I used to be so adamantly against that. I've really come around to it's any kind of combination of anything sweet, anything spicy is usually good. Not just pepperoni on pizza. Like I've been putting like that hot honey, like spicy honey on pizza, like the sweet hotness on pepperoni pizza, sweet and sour. I mean, it's just the contrast of the flavors, man. It works.
I agree, man. I like it. You didn't have to twist my arm on it. Did the full moon cause the Bobcats to lose? It was also close to Halloween. That comes from Tomcat.
Yes.
Yeah. Blame it on the full moon.
Yep.
Not on Foley. All right.
Yeah, Foley's like,
42.
anything to take the blame off of me. Yes, the moon. Blame the moon. Points at the sky.
Does this team or coaches have an identity problem? We have lost 2 very close games to ranked opponents where we ran the ball less than 30 times. Idaho did it to us. What do we do to other teams? Control the clock and get a close win. I do think we have a little bit of an identity problem when we play these big time games. You always mention we tend to tighten up or become more different than we typically are. I think Montana State needs to lean into their identity. We're a good running team. We play physical football. Let's go do that.
I agree. I don't know if we have an identity problem so much as that we just kind of mess around a little bit or get tight in big games. You said, I've said this all season. Like it seems when we play big games, we just kind of close the playbook up and play a little tight or call plays tight. I don't know. It just seems like that what we see from like when we pummel like a Idaho State or a Cal Poly or whatever, and then we play a top 10 team the next week, like the game plan's completely different. Like the philosophy is different. And it seems like we have an identity problem in big games, I guess. Maybe is the way I would put that.
The first post from a new recruit, Smith427, has a lot of, like, it's a long paragraph. So I'm just going to jump down to his question. Do you think our injuries in the last 2 years are just bad luck? Or is it possible that it's a systematic issue with our training practicing that makes us more susceptible than other teams?
I don't think the Cats get really that much more hurt than anybody else. It feels about average. Like South Dakota State's been without their star like linebacker for like 3/4 of the season. Like things happen. It's football. It's a physical.
Injuries are weird.
Rough game. Yeah, sometimes they're non-contact plays. Like I don't know. I feel like I think we have less injuries now than we did like with Ash. Like I feel like there's less camp injuries. I guess maybe I don't know. Taco hurt himself in camp, so I don't know, man. I don't feel like injuries are a huge problem at Montana State, I guess, compared to the norms.
All right, last question. Teton Cat says, would your opinion of the game be different if our three and out drives were spread out through the game versus the first 3 drives?
So the result's the same. We lose by 3.
Mm-hmm. Outcome was the same, yeah. So just as long as the 3 and outs were spread out through the game.
That's a good question. That's an interesting question.
It is.
I mean, I probably would feel a little different. I don't know if I feel better or worse, though. But I'd feel different. I probably feel slightly better, I guess. I guess.
No. I think I'd probably feel the same. Missed opportunity.
I mean, I'd be sad. I've been sad for days. It's weird recording this on Wednesday. We usually record on Monday. I was all kinds of sad on Monday. But I don't know, I've had so much time to like process it and read about it and consume other content and stuff. I'm not so sad today. But so I don't know. If you asked me on Monday, I'd probably have a different opinion.
It's about Thursday when you just have to wash everything off from last week.
Yeah.
You're going to wake up tomorrow and be like, okay, I can't linger on Idaho anymore. And AU's coming up. Time to get ready for that. As a fan, that's where I get to. Monday, I'm all the feels. Whether we win or lose, I'm like, all right, man, holy cow.
Yep.
Especially Sunday too, right? Sunday, Monday, we're in the feels of it, which makes doing the podcast Sunday and Monday fun because it makes it good content. Tuesday, you're like, okay. Wednesday, all right, time to move on. Time to move on. Wash your hands from this. Here's the fun part, though, Thorny. Montana State's going to go to the playoffs. We're going to look back on this and they're going to be like, man, that was just, it is what it was. It wasn't defining for our season. It feels like a defining moment right now. That, if Montana State projects to something awesome, if we catapult into this awesomeness that we hope to, well, good. Could be a defining moment, but could be just a loss. Could just be just a loss. Remember, I predicted this loss back in June or July, August, whenever we do this. I thought we would lose this game.
Yep.
And we could still be national champions. Could still win the Big Sky.
I mean, I think it could be defining one way or the other, though. It could be what propels us and kind of kickstarts us and get things back on track and look back at it like that was the game where we turned it around, or it could be, I don't know. But you're right.
I would be shocked if it propels us downwards.
Yeah, agreed.
Be shocked.
That's the least likely scenario, in my opinion. But we won't know until Saturday, and we have a good chance for a get-right game against a pretty decent opponent in Bozeman. I think it'll be a good follow-up to the loss.
We'll just put it this way. What is Coach Vegan's record in conference? 21-2 or something like that?
I guess this is only a second conference loss, huh?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
So you're going to tell me that this loss is just going to all of a sudden make us like now be a crappy team or go down this path? I don't buy that one bit.
Fair enough. Yep. Can't argue with that logic.
No. Probably just going to piss us off.
That's what I'm hoping. That's what I just really want to see us come out and just be pissed off and take it out on NAU.
Yeah.
Because that's
no prisoners.
Teams like that have championship expectations that play a physical brand of football. That's how you respond after you lose. Everybody loses sometimes. And that's unavoidable, but you got to come out and you got to be pissed off because you're not expecting to lose. They're not expecting to lose. The Bobcats were not expecting to lose to Idaho. So they did come out and be mad about it.
Especially November, big man month, separating season. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. We got to pick a winner. Did you like anything from Twitter?
Sheesh. I already got rid of it on Twitter.
All right.
So I don't know. Nothing really stood out to me, I guess. So maybe we'll do Russell Dam because he mentioned about beating the Grizz and then went to the national championship game and he asked us about is that a terrible thing as a reality check? Unless you got anything.
Plus, he got us that sweet.
Little bit of an added mustard to that question. He got us a little cool intro. So I'm not sure
Nice job,
Russell has one yet or not, but
he does.
Well, then get him a new one and get him a sticker.
Sounds good. Hey, Russell.
Good job, Russell. Thanks for the soundbite. Yeah, it just makes it look like we're just taking bribes.
I think he took a picture of his Golden Coolie in the press box.
Oh yeah, I think you might be right. Nice.
I'll send you another one.
Yeah, hand it out to somebody if you don't want it. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening to this rambling, therapeutic episode about the Idaho loss and the Northern Arizona game coming up. We appreciate everyone for following us on this journey that's been going on since 2018 now, which is just crazy. Thanks to Gear Up Sports for being our sponsor for the year. Thanks to Wilbur Ellis for sponsoring the Golden Coolie segment. You can always find us on the web, rrcatcast.com. You can find us on Twitter, rrcatcast, Bobcat Nation, rrcatcast thread that we got going there. We got a Golden Coolie thread, and we got the one where I post new episodes, all that good stuff. But let's just get out of here, man. Let's go. Let's go, Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.